The Three Island Mystery, Cleveland, 2002-2013. Cleveland, Ohio, 2002. The city hums with the ordinary rhythm of urban life cars honking on Lorraine Avenue, kids laughing on their way home from school, and the faint buzz of neon signs flickering in the dusk. But beneath this veneer of normalcy, something sinister stirs. A predator moves unnoticed, his shadow blending into the cracked sidewalks of the Tremont neighborhood. His name is Ariel Castro, a man who, to the world, seems unremarkable as school bus driver with an easy smile, a father who waves to neighbors while salsa music drifts from his porch. But inside the walls of his dilapidated two-story house at 2207 Seymour Avenue, a nightmare is about to unfold. A nightmare that will swallow 3 young women whole, trapping them in a darkness so complete it defies comprehension. This is the story of the Tamdao mystery, a chilling saga of abduction, torment, and the unbreakable will to survive. It begins on a sweltering August day in 2002. Michelle Knight, just 21 years old, steps out of her cousin's house, her mind heavy with worry. She's due in court to fight for custody of her 2-year-old son Joey, who was taken by social services. Michelle is small, barely 5 feet tall, with a fragile frame that makes her look younger than her years. Her life has been a series of struggles, abuse, poverty, and a childhood marked by pain, but she's determined to get Joey back. She just needs to find her way to the courthouse. Lost in an unfamiliar part of Cleveland, she wanders the streets, her sneakers scuffing against the pavement. That's when a maroon van pulls up beside her. The driver leans out, his face friendly, familiar. It's Ariel Castro, the father of her friend Emily. He's got a warm smile, the kind that puts you at ease. "Hey, Michelle," he says, his voice smooth as honey. "You look lost. Need a ride?" Michelle hesitates. She knows Emily, but she's never met her dad before. Still, the sun is brutal, and the courthouse feels miles away. She glances at the van, then back at Castro. He's holding a sign in the window, "Puppies for sale." He mentions he needs to stop by his house to feed them, but it's on the way. "It'll be quick," he promises. Something in her gut twists, a faint warning she can't quite place, but she's desperate, and he seems harmless. She climbs into the van, the door slamming shut behind her. The air inside is stale, heavy with the scent of Old Spice, and something sour she can't identify. As the van pulls away, Michelle doesn't know it yet, but she's just stepped into a trap that will hold her for 11 years. The house at 2207 Seymour Avenue looms like a forgotten relic, its white paint peeling, windows shrouded in heavy curtains. To neighbors, it's just another rundown property in a neighborhood that's seen better days. But inside, it's a labyrinth of secrets. Castro leads Michelle through the front door, his demeanor casual, almost jovial. The living room is clutter-riddled furniture, stacks of newspapers, a faint hum of a radio playing somewhere deep in the house. He gestures toward the stairs. "The puppies are upstairs," he says, his eyes glinting with something Michelle doesn't catch. She follows, her heart pounding, though she tells herself it's just nerve. The stairs creak underfoot, each step pulling her deeper into the house. At the top, he opens a door to a small room. It's empty, save for a stained mattress and a bucket in the corner. The air is thick, musty, like the room hasn't been opened in years. Before Michelle can turn, the door slams shut. She hears the click of a lock, then the jangle of chain. Castro's smile is gone, replaced by a cold, predatory stare. "You're not going anywhere," he says, his voice low, almost a growl. Michelle's screams are swallowed by the walls. She fights, her small fists pounding against him, but he's stronger, methodical. He binds her wrists with rope, then chains her to a pole in the basement, the metal biting into her skin. The darkness closes in, broken only by the faint glow of a single bulb swinging overhead. She's alone, the silence deafening except for the occasional creak of the house settling, or worse, the sound of Castro's footsteps above. Hours turn into days, then weeks. Michelle loses track of time, her world reduced to the basement's damp concrete and the bucket she's forced to use as a toilet. Castro visits her, his presence a twisted mix of menace and mockery. He brings her scraps of food-moldy bread, cold fast food tossing it at her like she's an animal. "You're mine now," he says, his breath hot against her face. No one's looking for you. And the worst part, he's not entirely wrong. Michelle's disappearance barely registers in Cleveland. Her troubled past and lack of family support mean the police don't prioritize her case. She's just another missing person, a name on a report that gathers dust. Authorities assume she ran away, a theory that stings worse than the chains cutting into her wrists. But Michelle clings to hope, whispering prayers for her son, vowing to survive. She doesn't know that her ordeal is just the beginning, that Castro's hunger for control is far from sated. The 21st of April, 2003. Amanda Berry, 16, finishes her shift at Burger King, her apron still tied as she steps into the cool evening air. She's a day shy of her 17th birthday. A bright, outgoing girl with dreams of becoming a fashion designer. She's walking home, her sneakers crunching on the gravel, when a familiar van pulls up. It's Castro again, his face a mask of neighborly concern. "Hey, Amanda," he calls out. "You're Emily's friend, right? She's at my place. Want to come see her?" Amanda knows Emily from school, and Castro's casual tone disarms her. She nods, climbing into the van. The door shuts with a thud, and the van rolls down Lorraine Avenue, the neon lights of Cleveland fading in the rearview mirror. Inside 2207 Seymour Avenue, Amanda's fate mirrors Michelle's. Castro lures her upstairs, then locks her in a room, chaining her to a radiator. The walls are boarded up, the windows sealed with layers of plastic and duct tape. Amanda's screams join Michelle's, though the two women don't yet know of each other's existence. Castro keeps them separated, his control absolute. He rapes Amanda repeatedly, his violence methodical, almost ritualistic. She fights back at first, but each act of defiance is met with beatings, starvation, or worse psychological torment. He tells her no one cares, that her family has moved on. Amanda clings to memories of her mother, her sister, the life she had just days ago. She writes in a diary Castro allows her to keep, pouring her fear and hope into pages she hides under her mattress. "I want to go home," she writes, the words smudged with tears. "I want to live." Castro's house becomes a prison, its rooms a maze of locked doors and barricaded windows. The neighbors notice odd things, the drawn shades, the faint sounds of banging late at night, but no one suspects the truth. Castro is careful, charming, even attending vigils for the missing girls while they're chained in his basement. He plays the part of the concerned citizen, all while orchestrating a horror show behind closed doors. To the world, he's just Ariel, the guy who grills ribs on his porch and waves as he drives his school bus. But inside, he's a monster, feeding on the fear of his captives. The 2nd of April, 2004. Gina DeJesus, 14, walks home from Wilbur Wright Middle School, her backpack slung over one shoulder. She's a shy, sweet girl, close friends with Castro's daughter, Arlene. She stops at a payphone to call her friend's mother, hoping for a sleepover. The answer is no, so Gina starts walking. A van pulls up, and there's Castro, smiling like he always does. "Hey, Gina," he says. "Arlene's at my house. Want a ride to see her?" Gina trusts him. He's her friend's dad, a familiar face in the neighborhood. She gets in, the door clicking shut. The van turns towards Seymour Avenue, and Gina DeJesus vanishes from the world. Like Michelle and Amanda, Gina is chained, locked away in a room that smells of mildew and despair. Castro's pattern is clear now. He preys on the young, the vulnerable, luring them with promises of safety or familiarity. Gina's youth makes her ordeal even more harrowing. She's barely a teenager, her life just beginning, yet she's thrust into a nightmare of rape, starvation, and isolation. Castro keeps her in a separate room, ensuring the women remain unaware of each other for months. The house groans under the weight of its secrets, its walls absorbing the screams, the tears, the whispered prayers of 3 women who refuse to break. For years, the house at 2207 Seymour Avenue stands as a silent accomplice. The women endure unimaginable horror chained to walls, fed scraps, subjected to Castro's whim. Michelle is forced to miscarry multiple times, Castro's beatings ensuring no child survives. Amanda gives birth to a daughter, Jocelyn, in a plastic kiddie pool in the basement, with Michelle coerced into helping under threat of death. Gina, the youngest, clings to memories of her family, her faith, the only thing keeping her sane. The women keep diaries, their words a testament to their resilience. "I cried every night," Michelle writes. "I was so alone. I worried what would happen to me and the other girls every day." Outside, Cleveland moves on. The cases of Michelle, Amanda, and Gina grow cold. Posters fade on telephone poles, their faces blurred by rain and time. The police search, but their efforts are half-hearted, especially for Michelle, whose troubled background makes her case less urgent. Amanda's mother, Luana, never gives up, appearing on television, pleading for her daughter's return. Gina's family holds vigils, their hope dwindling but never dying. Castro watches it all, his arrogance growing. He believes he's untouchable, a criminal mastermind who's outsmarted everyone. He even attends a vigil for Gina, standing among her grieving family, his presence a sick mockery of their pain. But Castro's arrogance is his weakness. He grows careless, his control slipping. He tests the women, leaving doors partially unlocked, daring them to try to escape. Each time they do, he punishes them beatings, starvation, or worse, psychological games that break their spirits. Yet the women endure, their bond growing despite their isolation. They don't know each other's names at first, but they hear each other's cries through the walls. A grim reminder they're not alone. They whisper through vents, sharing scraps of hope, vowing to survive. The house on Seymour Avenue becomes a character in its own right, hulking, malevolent presence that hides its horrors behind a facade of normalcy. Neighbors like Elsie Cintron report strange things. A naked woman crawling in the backyard, banging on windows late at night. But when police visit, Castro is charming, dismissive, and the complaints are brushed off. The house keeps its secrets, its boarded windows staring blankly at the world. To the outside, it's just another rundown property. To the women inside, it's a tomb. By 2013, the women have been captive for over a decade. Michelle is 32, her body and spirit battered but unbroken. Amanda is 27, a mother who lives for her daughter, Jocelyn, now 6. Gina is 23, her youth stolen but her resolve intact. They've endured thousands of days in darkness, their lives reduced to survival. Castro's control is absolute, his cruelty a constant. He rapes them, beats them, starves them, yet he allows small mercies a radio, a television, the diaries they cling to. He thinks he's a god, holding their lives in his hand, but he's no god. He's a man, flawed and fallible, and his empire of terror is about to crumble. The Tamdown mystery is no ordinary tale. It's a descent into the darkest corners of the human psyche, a story of evil so profound it chills the soul. Ariel Castro thought he could play the puppet master, orchestrating his horrors in plain sight. He thought he was untouchable, a phantom in the heart of Cleveland. But evil has a way of unraveling, and the women he sought to break are stronger than he could ever imagine. Their story is one of horror, yes, but also of courage, of hope that refuses to die. As the years pass, the house on Seymour Avenue waits, its secrets festering. But the day of reckoning is coming, and when it does, the world will know the truth. The truth of the Tamdown mystery, where 3 women vanished, and a monster thought he'd won. Cleveland, Ohio, 2013. The city pulses with life, oblivious to the festering secret at 2207 Seymour Avenue. Ariel Castro, now 52, struts through his Tremont neighborhood like a king in disguise, his ego swollen by a decade of undetected depravity. To the world, he's just a washed-up bus driver, a guy who grills burgers on his sagging porch and blasts salsa music loud enough to rattle windows. But in his mind, he's a mastermind, a phantom who's outsmarted the Cleveland PD, the FBI, and every nosy neighbor on the block. He's got 3 women, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus in his house, their lives bent to his will. He's untouchable, or so he thinks. But the house on Seymour Avenue is a pressure cooker, and the cracks in Castro's carefully curated facade are starting to show. Tonight, the illusion of his genius will fracture, and the world will catch a glimpse of the monster hiding in plain sight. The evening air is thick with the scent of charcoal and summer sweat. Castro leans against his chain-link fence, a beer in hand, chatting up his neighbor, Angel Cordero. Angel's a burly guy, a mechanic with a quick laugh and a habit of noticing things others miss. He's seen Castro's quirks, the boarded-up windows, The padlocks on every door, the way he hustles visitors away like he's guarding Fort Knox. "Yo, Ariel," Angel says, nodding at the house. "You running a bunker in there or what?" Castro laughs, a little too loud, his eyes darting to the second-floor windows, where heavy curtains block out the fading sunlight. "Just keeping the place secure, man," he replies, his voice smooth but laced with something sharp, like a blade hidden in silk. Angel shrugs, but his gut tells him something's off. He's heard stories banging noises late at night, a woman's scream cut short. Tonight, he's about to stumble into the truth. Inside the house, the air is stifling, heavy with the stench of mildew and despair. Amanda Berry, now 27, paces her tiny room, her bare feet scuffing against the warped floorboards. Her daughter, Jocelyn, 6 years old and born in this hellhole, is asleep on a thin mattress, clutching a tattered stuffed bear. Amanda's chains are looser, now Castro's grown cocky, believing she's too broken to fight back. But Amanda's spirit burns fierce, fueled by a decade of stolen dreams and a mother's love. She's been watching Castro, studying his routines, waiting for a slip. Tonight, she senses it. He's distracted, his usual vigilance dulled by beer and bravado. The front door, usually bolted like a vault, is ajar, a sliver of twilight spilling into the hall. Her heart pounds, a drumbeat of fear and hope. This is her chance. Upstairs, Michelle Knight, 32, lies curled in her room, her body aching from Castro's latest assault. Her wrists are raw from the ropes, her mind a battlefield of trauma and defiance. She's the forgotten one, her disappearance barely a footnote in Cleveland's memory. But Michelle is a survivor, her soul forged in fire. She hears Amanda moving below, the faint creak of floorboards, and her breath catches. She knows Amanda's planning. Something whispers through the vents have carried fragments of hope between them. Michelle prays, her lips moving silently, willing Amanda to succeed. If one of them escapes, maybe they all will. Gina DeJesus, 23, is in the basement, chained to a pole, her eyes fixed on the ceiling. She's the youngest, her youth stolen by a decade of torment. But Gina's faith is her anchor, her prayers a lifeline. She senses the shift in the house tonight, a tension in the air like a storm about to break. She doesn't know Amanda's plan, but she feels like a ripple of possibility in the suffocating darkness. She hums a hymn under her breath, the notes trembling but steady, a quiet act of rebellion against the silence that binds her. Outside, Castro's conversation with Angel grows heated. Angel's pushing, his questions sharper now. "Man, what's with the locks? You got a dungeon in there?" he jokes. But his eyes are serious, probing. Castro's smile falters, his hand tightening around the beer bottle. "Mind your own business, Angel," he snaps, his voice low, dangerous. Angel raises an eyebrow, undeterred. He's heard the rumors missing girls, strange noises, and he's not buying Castro's act anymore. "Whatever, man," Angel says, stepping back, but his mind is racing. He glances at the house, its windows dark, unyielding. Something's wrong, and he's not letting it go. Inside, Amanda's pulse is a wildfire. She creeps to the door, her bare feet silent on the floor. The chain around her ankle is long enough to reach the hall, a rare lapse in Castro's control. She peers through the crack in the door, her breath hitching. The front door is still open, a beacon of freedom just 20 feet away. But Castro's voice drifts from the porch, a low rumble that makes her skin crawl. She knows the risks if he catches her. The punishment will be brutal. Beatings, starvation, or worse. He'll hurt Jocelyn. But the thought of her daughter strengthens her resolve. She can't let Jocelyn grow up in this prison. She has to try. Amanda slips into the hall, her movements slow, deliberate. The house groans around her, its creaks and sighs like a living thing watching her every step. She passes a boarded-up window, the duct tape peeling at the edges, and catches a glimpse of the outside world, a streetlight, a passing car, a life she's been denied for 10 years. Her heart aches with longing, but fear keeps her focused. She reaches the front door, her hand trembling as it hovers over the knob. One turn, and she's free. One mistake, and she's dead. Outside, Angel's instincts are screaming. He's about to head home when he hears a faint thud from inside Castro's house, like something heavy hitting the floor. He freezes, his eyes locking on the front door. It's ajar, just enough to see a shadow move inside. "Ariel," he says, his voice steady but firm. "What's going on in there?" Castro's head snaps toward the house, his face paling. "Nothing," he says, too quickly, his eyes darting between Angel and the door. But Angel's not buying it. He takes a step toward the porch, his hand on his phone, ready to call for help. Inside, Amanda's hand closes around the doorknob. She twists it, the mechanism clicking with a sound that feels deafening in the silence. The door swings open, and cool night air rushes in, carrying the scent of freedom. She steps onto the porch, her bare feet slapping against the wood, and freezes. Castro is right there, 10 feet away, his back to her as he argues with Angel. Her heart stops, her body screaming to run, but her legs won't move. She is exposed, vulnerable, a deer caught in a hunter's sights. Then it happens. Angel's eyes flick past Castro, landing on Amanda. She's pale, disheveled, her eyes wide with terror and desperation. She mouths one word, "Help." Angel's blood runs cold. He knows her face, Amanda Berry, the girl from the missing posters, the one Cleveland's been searching for since 2003. His mind races, piecing together the horror in an instant. Castro's house, the locks, the noises, it's all connected. "Ariel," Angel says, his voice low, dangerous. "Who's that?" Castro spins around, his eyes locking on Amanda. For a moment, time stops. His face twists into a mask of rage and panic, the facade of the friendly neighbor shattering. "Get back inside!" he roars, lunging toward her. Amanda screams, a raw, primal sound that cuts through the night. She stumbles back, tripping over the threshold, her chain catching on the doorframe. Castro's hands are inches from her, his fingers clawing the air. But Angel moves faster. He charges forward, shoving Castro aside with a force that sends the smaller man sprawling. "Stay down!" Angel bellows, his voice a thunderclap. Castro scrambles to his feet, his eyes wild, but Angel's already at the door, pulling Amanda to safety. She's shaking, tears streaming down her face, but she's alive, free. "Call 911, she gasps, her voice hoarse but urgent. "There's others, Michelle, Jonathan, still inside." Angel fumbles for his phone, his hands shaking as he dials. "This is Angel Cordero, 2207 Seymour Avenue, he says, his voice steady despite the adrenaline. "Amanda Berry's here. She's alive. There's more girls in the house. Send help now." The operator's voice crackles through, but Angel's barely listening. His eyes are on Castro, who's backing away, his face a mix of fear and defiance. "You're done, man," Angel says, his voice low, lethal. It's over. Castro bolts, sprinting down the street, his footsteps echoing in the dusk. But the neighborhood's waking up now, lights flicking on, doors opening. Neighbors spill onto their porches, drawn by Amanda's screams and Angel's shouts. Someone grabs Castro, pinning him to the ground as sirens wail in the distance. Amanda collapses against the porch railing, her body racked with sobs, but her eyes burn with a fierce, unyielding hope. She's free, and she's not leaving without Michelle and Gina. Inside the house, Michelle and Gina hear the chaos screams, shouts, the unmistakable sound of freedom breaking through. Michelle's heart leaps, her prayers answered in the form of Amanda's courage. Gina clutches her chains, her hymn rising to a desperate plea. The house groans, its secrets spilling out like blood from a wound. The police are coming, their sirens, a beacon in the darkness. The tammed-down mystery is unraveling, its horrors laid bare for the world to see. Castro's delusion of genius lies in tatters. He thought he was a phantom, a master of deception, but he was just a man, flawed and frail, undone by a neighbor's suspicion and a woman's unbreakable will. The house on Seymour Avenue stands silent now, its boarded windows no longer hiding the truth. Amanda's escape is the spark, Angel's intervention, the flame. The fire of justice is coming, and it will burn through every lock, every chain, every lie Castro built. But the story's not over. Michelle and Gina are still inside, their fates hanging in the balance. The police are storming the house, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. Will they find the others in time? Will Castro's empire of terror collapse completely? Or or does he have one last trick up his sleeve? The night is young, and the Tamdow mystery is far from solved. Cleveland holds its breath, and the world watches, captivated by a tale of horror, heroism, and the seductive pull of secrets finally exposed. Cleveland, Ohio, May 6, 2013. The night is electric, charged with the raw energy of a city unaware that its darkest secret is about to explode. At 2207 Seymour Avenue, the House of Horrors stands like a predator caught in the open, its boarded windows glinting under the streetlights. Ariel Castro, the monster who thought himself a criminal genius, is on the run, his empire of terror teetering on the brink. Amanda Berry, 27, stands trembling on the porch, her bare feet bloodied, her heart a wildfire of fear and triumph. She's escaped the chains that bound her for a decade, thanks to a neighbor's courage and a moment of Castro's carelessness. But the fight isn't over. Michelle Knight and Gina DeJesus are still trapped inside, their lives hanging by a thread. The clock is ticking, and Amanda's next move will decide whether the Tamdow mystery ends in salvation or tragedy. The air is thick with the scent of asphalt and adrenaline. Amanda's breath comes in ragged gasps, her eyes darting down the street where Castro vanished, tackled by neighbors now holding him for the police. Angel Cordero, the mechanic who saw through Castro's lies, stands beside her, his phone pressed to his ear, the 911 operator's voice crackling through. "Stay with me," the operator says. "Police are on the way." Amanda's hands shake, her body screaming to collapse, but she's fueled by a mother's love and a survivor's grit. Her daughter, Jocelyn, is still inside, asleep in that hellhole, and Michelle and Gina are somewhere in the house's labyrinth, their cries haunting her dreams. She can't stop now. Freedom is close, but it's fragile, a flame that could flicker out if she falters. Angel hands her the phone, his eyes fierce with determination. "Tell them everything," he says, his voice a lifeline. Amanda clutches the phone like a weapon, her voice hoarse but steady. "This is Amanda Berry," she says, the words a thunderclap in the quiet night. "I've been kidnapped. I've been missing for 10 years. I'm here. I'm free. But there's others. Michelle Knight, Gina DeJesus, they're still in the house. Ariel Castro did this. Please, hurry." The operator's voice wavers, stunned, ascending, a mix of shock and urgency. "Stay on the line, ma'am. Help is coming." Amanda's plea echoes through the dispatch center, a siren call that sets Cleveland's police force ablaze. Squad cars scream down Lorraine Avenue, their lights painting the night red and blue, converging on Seymour Avenue like wolves closing in on prey. Inside the house, Michelle Knight, 32, lies chained in her upstairs room, her body a map of scars, her spirit a fortress of defiance. The chaos outside screams, sirens, the thunder of footsteps reaches her through the boarded windows, a sound so foreign it feels like a dream. She's heard Amanda's voice, faint but unmistakable, shouting for help. Hope, a dangerous thing, surges through her, sharp and electric. Michelle strains against her chains, the metal biting into her wrists, her voice a raw whisper. "Please, God, let this be real. She's the forgotten one." Her disappearance barely a ripple in Cleveland's memory, but tonight, she refuses to be invisible. She bangs on the wall, her fists bruised but relentless, screaming until her throat burns. "I'm here! I'm here!" In the basement, Gina DeJesus, 23, clings to her chains, her young face etched with a decade of pain. The sirens are louder now, a symphony of salvation, but fear claws at her heart. Castro's threats echo in her mind. "If you try to escape, I'll kill you all." She's the youngest, her youth stolen, but her faith is a beacon. She prays, her lips moving silently, her hymn a fragile thread holding her together. The house groans, its walls trembling as if sensing its secrets are spilling out. Gina hears footsteps above, heavy and unfamiliar not Castro's sly shuffle, but the purposeful stride of rescuers. She screams, her voice cracking. "Help us! We're down here!" The sound is swallowed by the basement's damp concrete, but she keeps shouting. Her hope, a fire that refuses to die. Outside, the street is a circus of chaos. Neighbors crowd the sidewalks, their faces a mix of shock and horror. Phones raised to capture the unfolding drama. Police swarm the house, their guns drawn, flashlights slicing through the darkness. Officer Carl Sullivan, a grizzled veteran with a nose for trouble, leads the charge. He's seen the missing posters, Barry, DeJesus, night faces that haunted Cleveland for years. Amanda's 911 call replays in his mind, her voice a knife through the fog of cold cases. "Breach the door," he barks, his team ramming the front entrance, the wood splintering like bones. The house yawns open, its stale air spilling out, thick with the stench of decay and despair. Inside, the police move like shadows, their boots pounding the creaky floorboards. The house is a maze-locked doors, boarded windows, walls scrawled with desperate scratches. Sullivan's gut twists. This isn't a home, it's a tomb. "Cleveland PD!" he shouts, his voice echoing. "Anyone here?" The silence is oppressive, broken only by faint thuds from above and below. His team splits, half racing upstairs, half descending to the basement, their flashlights dancing across peeling wallpaper and stained mattresses. Every locked door, every chain, is a scream of guilt, proof of Castro's depravity. Upstairs, Officer Maria Torres finds Michelle's room, the door padlocked, the air heavy with mildew and fear. She shoots the lock, the metal shattering, and pushes inside. Michelle is there, chained to a radiator, her small frame trembling, her eyes wide with terror and hope. "You're safe now," Torres says, her voice soft but firm, kneeling to unlock the chains. Michelle collapses into her arms, sobbing, her body light as a bird's, her spirit unbroken. "Amanda, Gina," she whispers, her voice raw. "Find them." Torres nods, radioing the team, her heart racing. 1 down, 2 to go. In the basement, Sullivan kicks open a reinforced door, his flashlight illuminating Gina, chained to a pole, her face pale but fierce. She's singing, a hymn so soft it's almost a prayer, her eyes locked on him like he's an angel. "Gina DeJesus?" he asks, his voice thick with emotion. She nods, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I'm here," she says, her voice breaking. Sullivan cuts her chains, the metal clanking to the floor, and lifts her gently, her body frail but alive. "You're going home," he says, and for the first time in a decade, Gina believes it. Outside, Amanda waits, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes fixed on the house. Jocelyn is still inside, her daughter, her reason for surviving. The crowd murmurs, their voices a low hum of awe and horror. News vans roll in, cameras flashing, but Amanda doesn't see them. She sees only the door, praying for Michelle, Gina, and Jocelyn. Then it happens. Officer Torres emerges, Michelle leaning on her steps unsteady but determined. Seconds later, Sullivan appears, Gina in his arms, her face buried in his shoulder. The crowd gasps, some cheering, others weeping. As the women are reunited on the lawn, their embrace a silent vow. We survived. But Jocelyn is still inside. Amanda's heart lurches, her voice rising. "My daughter," she cries, pushing toward the house. Sullivan stops her, his hand gentle but firm. "We're getting her," he says, radioing his team. Moments later, Officer Jamal Carter, a young cop with a soft spot for kids, steps out. Jocelyn in his arms, her stuffed bear clutched tight. She's 6, her eyes wide with confusion, but she runs to Amanda, their reunion, a burst of light in the darkness. "Mommy!" Jocelyn cries, and Amanda holds her, tears falling, her world whole again. The police secure the scene, their radios crackling with updates. Castro's in custody, tackled by neighbors and cuffed in a squad car, his face a mask of defiance and fear. The house is cordoned off, its horrors now evidence in a case that will shock the world. Amanda, Michelle, and Gina are rushed to Metro Health Medical Center, their bodies battered but their spirits blazing. Jocelyn stays with Amanda, her small hand gripping her mother's, a bond forged in captivity and sealed in freedom. The climax resolves in a blaze of triumph, but the air hums with questions. How did Castro evade justice for so long? What drove him to such evil? The house on Seymour Avenue stands silent, its secrets laid bare, but its shadows linger, seductive and sinister. Cleveland reels, its heart broken and healed in the same breath, as the world tunes in, captivated by the Tamdao mystery. Amanda's escape, her 911 call. The rescue, it's a story of courage that burns bright, a beacon for survivors everywhere. But the final chapter looms, promising revelations that will thrill, terrify, and inspire. The night belongs to the women of Seymour Avenue, and their story is far from over. Cleveland, Ohio, May 7, 2013. Dawn breaks over a city transformed, its pulse quickened by a story that has set the world ablaze. The house at 207 Seymour Avenue, once a silent prison, is now a crime scene. Its boarded windows and padlocked doors exposed under the harsh glare of police floodlights. Ariel Castro, the monster who held 3 women captive for a decade, sits in a cell, his delusion of genius shattered, his fate sealed. But the true story, the one that burns through the headlines and sears itself into Cleveland's solace, not his. It belongs to Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus. 3 women whose strength turned a nightmare into a testament of survival. Their escape was the climax, but their rebirth is the crescendo, a seductive, heart-pounding saga of resilience that leaves the world hungry for more. Yet, as the dust settles, whispers of untold secrets linger, beckoning the curious to dive deeper into the Tom Dow mystery. The morning sun bathes Metro Health Medical Center in a golden glow, but inside, the air is heavy with the weight of healing. Amanda Berry, 27, lies in a hospital bed, her daughter Jocelyn curled beside her, the 6-year-old's soft breaths a reminder of why she fought. Amanda's body is frail, her skin marked by years of chains and starvation, but her eyes blaze with a fire that no darkness could extinguish. She clutches a worn diary, its pages filled with dreams of freedom, now a relic of her captivity. Nurses move quietly, their faces a mix of awe and sorrow as they tend to her wounds. Amanda's mind races, replaying the moment she broke free the open door, the porch, Angel Cordero's voice cutting through her fear. She did it. She saved them all, but the weight of 10 years presses against her chest, a shadow that freedom can't fully banish. What comes next? The world waits to hear her voice, but Amanda's not ready. Not yet. Across the hall, Michelle Knight, 32, sits upright, her small frame dwarfed by the hospital gown. Her face is a map of scars, her wrists raw from chains, but her spirit is a beacon, unyielding and fierce. Michelle was the forgotten one, her disappearance barely a blip in Cleveland's memory, yet she endured the worst of Castro's cruelty. She lost children to his beatings, her body forced to miscarry in the basement's damp shadows. But Michelle's soul refused to break. She hums softly, a melody from her childhood, her voice a fragile thread, weaving hope into the sterile room. A social worker sits beside her, offering a notepad. "Write your story," she says gently. Michelle hesitates, her fingers trembling. "I don't know where to start," she whispers. The social worker smiles. "Start with surviving." Michelle nods, her eyes glinting with tears and resolve. She's not just a victim, she's a warrior, and the world will know her name. Gina DeJesus, 23, is in a nearby room, her family gathered around her, their sobs a mix of joy and grief. Gina's youth was stolen, her teenage years spent in a basement, chained to a pole, her faith, her only shield against Castro's horrors. Now, surrounded by her parents, Felix and Nancy, and her brother Ricky, she feels the warmth of love she thought she'd lost. Her mother strokes her hair, whispering, "You're home, Mia." Gina's smile is tentative, her eyes haunted but alive. She clutches a small cross necklace, a gift from her mother years ago, now a talisman of her survival. The hospital room is a cocoon, shielding her from the media frenzy outside, but Gina knows the world is watching. Her story, like Amanda's and Michelle's, is a spark that could ignite changer, draw vultures eager to exploit their pain. She's not ready to face them, but her resolve hardens. She survived Castro. She can survive anything. Outside, Cleveland is a cauldron of emotion. News vans clog West 25th Street, reporters shouting over each other, their cameras trained on the hospital. The story of the Tom Dow mystery has gone global, headlines screaming, "Cleveland Miracle, 3 women freed after decade in captivity." Vigils spring up across the city, candles flickering on sidewalks, posters of Amanda, Gina, and Michelle, now symbols of hope. At the corner of Lorraine and Seymour, Neighbors gather, their faces a mix of guilt and relief. How did they miss it? The banging, the screams, the boarded window screws that hid in plain sight. Angel Cordero, the hero who helped Amanda escape, stands among them, his eyes fixed on the house. "I should have known," he mutters, but a neighbor claps his shoulder. "You saved them, man." Angel nods, but the weight of what he saw Amanda's terror. The house's secret slingers like a ghost. The police are relentless, tearing through 2,207 Seymour Avenue like surgeons, dissecting a corpse. Detectives catalog horrors, chains bolted to walls, diaries scrawled with desperate pleas, a plastic kiddie pool stained with the aftermath of Amanda's childbirth. The basement is the worst, its air thick with the stench of despair. A bucket in the corner, a grim testament to the women's suffering. Detective Sarah Monroe, a seasoned investigator with a knack for cold cases, sifts through the evidence, her stomach churning. This wasn't just a crime, she tells her partner. It was a war. The diaries, especially, haunt her. Michelle's prayers, Amanda's dreams, Gina's hymns, each word a cry for freedom. The evidence paints a damning picture of Castro, but it also reveals the women's strength, their refusal to be erased. In a downtown precinct, Ariel Castro sits in an interrogation room, his hands cuffed, his face a mask of defiance and desperation. Detectives lean in, their questions sharp, but Castro is slippery, weaving lies with a chilling calm. "They wanted to stay," he says, his voice smooth, almost seductive, as if he believes his own delusion. "I gave them a home." The lead interrogator, Detective James Carver, slams his fist on the table. "You chained them, you monster!" Castro flinches, but his smirk returns, a predator bearing teeth. "You don't understand," he says. "I'm not what you think." Carver's blood boils, but he knows the truth is in the evidence, not Castro's twisted words. The case's airtight DNA, diaries, the women's testimonies. Castro's empire is dust, but his arrogance is a final insult, a spark that fuels the city's rage. The tension builds, a city on edge. As the women prepare to face the world, rumors swirl. Will they speak out? Will they sue the police for failing to find them sooner? The media hungers for their voices, but Amanda, Michelle, and Gina are guarded, their wounds too fresh. A press conference is scheduled, a high-stakes moment that could redefine their story or break them. The hospital becomes a fortress, security tight, as reporters try to sneak past, desperate for a glimpse. Inside, the women meet for the first time since their rescue, a moment charged with unspoken pain and power. They sit in a quiet room, their hands clasped, their eyes meeting in a silent pact. "We made it," Amanda says, her voice steady. Michelle nods, tears falling. "We're not his anymore." Gina squeezes their hands, her cross necklace glinting. "We're free." The press conference is electric, a stage set for a city's redemption. Cleveland's mayor, police chief, and FBI agents flank the podium, but all eyes are on the women. Amanda steps forward first, Jocelyn at her side, her voice clear despite the tremble. "I'm here because I never gave up," she says, her words ablaze through the crowd's heart. "Thank you to everyone who prayed for us." Michelle follows, her small frame commanding the room. "I was forgotten, but I'm not invisible anymore," she says, her voice rising. "I'm a survivor." Gina, the youngest, speaks last, her words soft but piercing. "My faith kept me alive. I'm home now, but I'll never stop fighting." The crowd erupts, tears and cheers blending, as the women stand together, their strength a radiant force. Jocelyn waves shyly, and the world falls in love with their courage. The climax peaks, a wave of triumph crashing over Cleveland. The women's words ignite a movement. Survivors across the globe share their stories. Inspired by the Tamdao mystery, Castro pleads guilty to 937 counts, including kidnapping, rape, and murder, sentenced to life without parole. The house on Seymour Avenue is demolished, its rubble a symbol of closure, the lot turned into a garden where candles burn nightly. Amanda, Michelle, and Gina begin to heal, their diaries now books, their voices a beacon for others. Amanda designs clothes, her dream reborn. Michelle sings, her melodies a balm for her soul. Gina mentors young girls, her faith a guiding light. But the resolution is not the end. Shadows linger, questions unanswered. What drove Castro to such evil? Were there others who knew, who looked away? The women's diaries hint at moments never shared, whispers through vents, plans that failed, secrets the house still holds. Cleveland buzzes with rumors. A hidden room, a fourth captive, a network Castro might have served. The garden on Seymour Avenue blooms, but some say it's haunted, the ground restless, with untold truths. The Tamdow mystery is a fire that won't die, its embers glowing with promise of more. And there is more. The story doesn't end here, dear reader. The women's journey, the city's reckoning, the secrets buried in Cleveland's heart, they wait to be uncovered. What lies beyond the garden? What truths did the house take to its grave? Dive into the mystery, follow the whispers, and join us on our channel for the next chapter. The Tamdow mystery is calling, and its secrets are too seductive to resist. Stay tuned, because the truth is just beginning to unravel.